Hi, I'm Izzy. I have cats. We play games. Otter. I have Otter. Hi, Mana. You missed it, of course, that Mana and Otter were laying in the bed together. And of course they stopped doing that, like, right before I started. Of course. Alright. Let me make sure everything is set up here. Cool. So theoretically we're finishing this today? I'm really bad at estimates, so it's hard to know. We'll find out. Alright. Turn the keyboard off because we don't need that. Okay. It's trial day. I don't even know what we have to work with. I don't have a solid theory about this one yet. Except that probably the sandwich lady did it. February 23rd, 9:34 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me, no matter what the outcome. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their client. Oh, is that her saying I didn't stab him? The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. Miss Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive difference between you and her. And that is... you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for the trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. Yeah, sure, okay. My first trial without a Fae helping me. No one's going to bail me out this time. Except, you know, Mia talked to us not through her sister during the last trial. I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. Oh, good. Great. 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Oh, we were always in 2, 3, or 4. Oh, okay. Hey, Edgeworth, how you doing? Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since his trial. I hope that personal feelings will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. Exclamation point. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office lot. Wow, he's much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There was a witness to her crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls its first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. Oh, here we go. The cough-up queen? Haven't I seen you somewhere? You ordered the caviar lunch, right? Oh ho, caviar! I've never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. Ah, and for you, I have a Fiesta Bowl. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? Ah, and you, sir? Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? It is too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. ... Well, Your Honor, how does it taste? So this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty, it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name. Profession. Now. Me? The name is Angel Star. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. I know, right? Just answer the question. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Hurry it up. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime. Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional. What exactly does that mean? Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Star was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. What? Miss Star was a detective? Yeah, right? ... Ah-ha-ha! I know who you are. Hey, when people do shit like that, insert question, wouldn't you like to know? Yes, that is why I asked you. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Drives me crazy. I know who you are. Cough up. Cough up Queen Angel Star, Your Honor. Long time no see. Very well. You may continue with the description, Miss Star. Just who is this lady? If I might have the court's attention over here. The judge will out themselves detective, right? The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. A block is for the prosecutor's office personnel, and B block is for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that's to keep visitors from taking up prosecutor spaces, yes? The crime took place by a car in the back of A block in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with this knife and went to drive the body out. How did she drive him? That wasn't her. Unfortunately for her, there was a witness, and an arrest was made on the spot. And who was this valiant witness? Why, it was me, Your Honor. Okay, parking lot floor plans. Added to the court record. Okay, first question I have. Why did she try to drive out a car when she didn't have the keys, when Edgeworth had just come back from the police department? So she didn't have the keys to that car. I mean, the trunk lock, it said that it was kind of broken, but she wouldn't have been able to drive the car out without the keys. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime? Of course, Your Honor. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor. It seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright? I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining? If you can, then give them your worst, Miss Star. Wait, are they talking about me? Ripperoonie. Alright. Somehow, I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. And when I sensed something, perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Bringing home a lunchbox to your boyfriend. How touching. As you can see, there is no room for doubt. The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman. So, how does it feel to be so utterly crushed? I'm still thinking about that. It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. All right, what is your actual testimony? Oh, it's this. Okay, they would come. Also, I wanna. So wait, but she was talking about how the witness went to drive away, and that's not now part of her testimony. So we're gonna do our tried and true strategy of press. How did you know? I respect the prosecutor's basic abhorrence of crime. Show her your badge, right? Yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted. Given that they are used to erasing inconvenience evidence at their whim, killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. ... Miss Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one. Laid off? She was fired. To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I am a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless. Very well, you may continue, Miss Starr. It's on my way to deliver lunchbox to my boyfriend. This boyfriend, he's the detective? Not that boyfriend, the security guard. That boyfriend? You have several? Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. Care to join? The yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants. I'll stick with the lunches, thanks. Note to self, the judge had to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot, in A block. It's up on the second level, so you can see everything from there. That would be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunch boxes by car? As long as everyone knows. Since I'm a visitor now, I park in B block. So she was in the B block when she witnessed the crime. When I sensed something, perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work. You sensed something? So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder? It felt like, how would you say? Oh yes. It was like the feeling you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds. I have no idea what that means. Thank you, Judge. Speaking of a detective's intuition, wasn't the victim, Mr. Bruce Goodman, also a detective? Yes, well, he was like a young cheese. A young cheese? A pale white cheese. Not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn. Then I must be hard yellowed and sharp as a tack. Judge! Yeah, with the odor of an old cheese to match. In any case, there in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. By garish car, you mean... Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes. Mr. Edgeworth's? Incidentally, the knife with which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's. Wasn't it? ... Indeed, it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you're sure it was the defendant? I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I am certain it was her. If she's telling the truth, we're doomed. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick. Witness, in your testimony you clearly stated the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than worms. Ergo, you are a biased witness. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, rookie. Huh? Rookie? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me? I'll fry you like a fritter, crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. That was inspiring. I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. You could cry plagiarism. It's my literal job to doubt you, right? I may be regulated to the lowly post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed. A photograph? You took this? Why did she have a camera? She was bringing lunches. The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over and snap, I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunchboxes is rigged with a camera. Why? I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. Witness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? You think I'd show it to you, a prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs. Well, this is most certainly the defendant. Crime photo added to the court record. Moment of the crime as photographed by Angel Star. I think that is a significant... Oh, yeah, no, the witness is threatening me. The witness is threatening me. The witness is hostile to the prosecution. Like, no, the witness is obviously biased. I think it's significant that it says it's as photographed by Angel Star. Uh-oh, that is unmistakably Lana Skye. So, what was the defendant doing at the time? The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Let me see this photo. Wasn't her right hand injured? Her right hand was injured. Her right hand is injured. Wait. Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. Well, I'd say the blade was about 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? It is your knife, after all. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are, by nature, well versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify as to her ability to kill an egg. I mean, a person. Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. So the defendant was holding a knife. What then? Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. How did she see that from that angle? Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no? The defense has a point. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. Too late? Yes, the next moment. The chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound. We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Miss Tarr's testimony is flawless. No, it's not. I know where the hole is. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? Is my sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calmer. Don't smile like that. Alright. I don't think that, and I could be wrong, but let me look at this. So if she's on the other side of the fence, I'm just wondering how she could see her up against the back of the car. She's holding it in the wrong hand. I want to look at this picture. So, in this picture, she's not holding anything in her right hand. So, let's try that. And you witnessed this? You saw Miss Sky stab the victim with the knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear it on my finest salmon swirl lunch. I'm sure that is a fine lunch. But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took of the very moment of the crime, is it not? Then why is Miss Sky not holding a knife? ... Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Yet it was still stronger than your ever-feeble mind, Mr. Wright. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing. And how can you tell that? Blood spatter. Also, the knife would be on the ground, and it's not on the ground either. Huh? See the dark crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? But it's a black and white photograph. Ah, yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you just gonna sit there and take that kind of abuse? You had a better idea? Objection! Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely, that she took the picture the moment she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. That's it? If you run out of lunch, you order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understand it, but good advice. It could literally be sauce. Like, it could be anything. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was premeditated murder. Premeditated? How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in that photograph. Well, are those gloves? Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves. Ugh! That's not true. It's February! It's February! We can't tell what kind of gloves those are. These gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation. Premeditated murder. A serious offense. Witness, add this to your testimony. The murder was planned. The rubber gloves prove it. What if she was just in the habit of wearing gloves? Like driving gloves? The gloves were admitted as evidence when the defendant was arrested. They were rubber gloves of the kind used for autopsies. In other words, when the chief prosecutor came to the crime scene, she came to do murder. Why did we not find about the gloves until now? It's the only possible conclusion one can make. Everything was planned. It was a premeditated crime. Ugh. Impressive. I'm sorry they took you off the force, Miss Starr. This is bad. She's got them thinking it was all planned. If she can prove this claim, the trial's already over. I've got to think of a way to show that this wasn't premeditated. It's only a flesh wound. We can make it. Blah, blah, blah. Da-da-da-da-da. What do we do? La, la, la. Okay. Alright. So... Oh, wait. Wait. Aren't there fingerprints on the knife? Hold on. Where's my evidence? Okay, so there's no prints. There's no prints on the knife. Alright. Let me look at this again. So she's wearing rubber gloves. Alright, well, we're gonna press... I think I pressed on this before. Yeah, okay. So we'll just skip through this real quick. Alright. Oh, you know what? The knife. The knife shows it wasn't premeditated. Because the knife was in Edgeworth's toolbox in the trunk. Also, it doesn't, like, she didn't see the opening of the trunk or any of that stuff, but I think that that's it. I mean, like, if it was premeditated, she would have brought her own weapon. We'll find out. It's fine. There we go. Brain's firing up. Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell boxed lunches for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. What's with this case? The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, are these prosecutors bad people? The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony. What's that, Ricky? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Skye planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing, the murder weapon? Oh. This knife just happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. She threw her lunches. She would be better at selling box livings for lunches, right? Order, order! Great, now the tide's turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister's as good as free. I don't think that's true. Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But this shoots a hole in the whole premeditated theory. Bah. The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. Exclamation point. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need prove, nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing... I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now? Maybe she got fired because she was doing assumptions about people. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. How do you know that she called him there? You're the lunch lady. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. That's where I'm gonna get her. Right there. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it? So if I ordered a pizza... Yeah, one stab wound, right? Does that mean I'm planning on to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. So do we press on all this other stuff, or do we go right for the throat? Because we know exactly where the contradiction is. Let's see what kind of information we can get out of her other than that. You've said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie. I believe what she just said was a mere prelude to the story she was about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again. Rookie. Never interrupt a storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. Something's half-baked here, all right, and it's you. Try not to confuse the defense witness. They're not very quick on their feet. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Her actions speak for themselves. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. You have no proof that Miss Sky called him there? You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts? There is no record of a call made on the defendant, Miss Lana Sky's phone. She might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first, at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. It matters! The reason matters! Judge, what are you doing? Witness, why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Why? What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Rookie. I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? See, we agree that there's a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors. Your lunch was salty because it was fish eggs. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunging the knife in again and again. So, we're going to press her on this, but this is where our contradiction is, and we're going to use the autopsy report to prove it. A human machine? That's a contradiction. Please. Can't you find fault with something of substance, Mr. Wright? Yes, I can. Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's eyes smell like citrus fruit. You say again and again. How many times did she stab him exactly? We often say, chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is done? How come she's getting mad at me? Because we're calling her out on something that's not true. Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that. Leave it at that? This is a murder case, people! Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know. Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. The short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. ... Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Alright. Lana Sky okay, so this is the beginning of the testimony. Alright, so let's go over here and make her really mad. Because obviously that's wrong. Where is it? 1 knife wound. You say she stabbed him again and again, but you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. Gross. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Starr. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due from a loss of blood from 1 stab wound. Aha! You're right! Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. What a hunk! He's my hero, really! I was objecting to say that! He stole my thunder! What about my objection? No one noticed? Well, witness.
You got the crime scene set right.
Oh, thanks.
I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are possible.
So, you're saying you mistook something for blood?
When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice.
Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. ...
Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was.
Where's that picture? Is she wearing a muffler? No. No, she's not.
No, she's not.
Her red muffler?
Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck, so she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose.
She's right. But she wasn't wearing one in that picture. This guy was wearing a red scarf. Wasn't she? But wait. Isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? ... Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib. That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes.
Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest.
However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There was only one knife wound. Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony.
Mr. Wright, this is our chance.
Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so we already know. It's her own photo. Because you can look at the photo and see she's not wearing a scarf. Da 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 da. Miss Starr, I didn't demand an explanation. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. And you've proved it yourself with this photograph.
Huh? But that can't be!
Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Wow, Edgeworth is like, boom. Ugh, I'm out of caffeine. I ran out early today. Edgeworth is stealing my thunder. This is my big comeback. Right? Congratulations. Perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good.
In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails.
What was my objection, chopped liver?
But it was there. A scarf. No, not that, but something red. Really?
Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business.
What?
Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. ...
Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least.
Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony.
Most important part?
The part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth.
After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her right to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Starr, resistance is futile.
Why did she mention the muffler? You're arresting her? You're quite determined about this scarf, aren't you?
I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra.
I know, right? How are you going to catch her through the fence? And that's exactly what I'm going to bust her with. It's going to be the floor plan.
That's me, Angel Starr.
That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake.
Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten.
No thanks.
Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum.
An oil drum? Hard to imagine.
Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr!
Okay, first of all, isn't that there is a drum there on its side, but isn't that the one that, like, it's empty and Emma tried to pick it up and it's so heavy that she couldn't even move it? So, very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you will. Alright. Oh, you're gonna get smoked now, bud. Alright.
After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side.
So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means the wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. Oh! It says she kicked over an oil drum, but the oil drum's on the other side of the wall.
She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do.
And what did you do then?
I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot.
You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect?
As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time.
Maybe I should press her for more details? No, we press her. I'd like to see this on the floor plans, just to be safe. The Lynchland car was... She was a visitor, thus she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here? That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr?
Yes, that's right.
But there was a chain link fence in front of you.
I went over it, of course.
Amazing! The cough-up queen, lunch lady athlete indeed.
It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast.
Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. So how did Miss Guy not get away?
Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler.
She mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say?
If I remember exactly, I would have told you in my testimony.
Cheeky.
Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler.
Just that one word? So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else?
Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone.
Her phone? She can't mean... We're gonna ask further, because that's not where her phone was. By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene?
Yes, ultimately.
Ultimately?
My memory. It's like a salmon heading upstream, you see.
No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr.
The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall.
On the wall? That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Fishy and dying soon, right? Gross.
Apparently it was out of order.
And so she used her cell phone? Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing, witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony.
The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney.
Lana's cell phone, the word muffler, was overheard during a call made to Emma at 5:18. Emma said she just hung up.
I saw it all, how she tried to use the phone on the wall, but had to use her cell instead.
Do you think you could restate your testimony? Okay. Alright, so this is again. She's gonna say this again. Alright, so she says she went that way. So she could not have seen her try to use the phone. Do we see the problem here? Like, we're seeing it in real time? So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. All of this happened, and the cell phone was here. Like, the cell phone was over here. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence.
Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone.
And you saw her doing this. What is it, Mr. Wright? I know exactly what it is. Okay. Against Angel Star, resistance is futile. Alright. Ready? Here we go.
Da 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 da.
Miss Star, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Skye. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias.
Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. ...
Well, Miss Star, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up.
Let's look at the floor plans. You said that you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Skye making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it.
What?
Order! Order! What is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Ugh. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... Yeah, no, right? What she saw and where she saw it. I think she lied about where she saw it because I think she was actually in the security booth. I don't think she was in the parking lot. Miss Skye tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Star to lie about it. Pointless to lie. I see. But say the witness did actually see Miss Skye using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Star witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Star witnessed this crime was here. La la. So, if she was in the security room, she might have been able to see over this wall, but she also wouldn't have been able to see. I feel like the security room is the answer here, which she shouldn't have been in the security room. But she says she brings lunch. She was bringing a lunch to her boyfriend. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room? Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second floor so you can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room. Yes? Well, Miss Star... ...
How many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today, a man has got the better of Angel Star.
Well, maybe you shouldn't lie. Order, order! Witness! What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better.
I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails.
The guilty? Is she talking about Miss Skye?
Mr. Wright, doesn't it strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense.
Huh?
She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything.
Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. She couldn't have taken that photograph. That truth still stands. She couldn't have taken that photograph. Doesn't make sense unless she did the stabbing and framed the whole thing. I mean, right? It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. She put the sauce there, right? She flung it at him. Like, she threw that ketchup box lunch, the one with the fork in it. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. ... Huh? Me? Who else?
Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Are you going to give me the chance to say that she couldn't have taken the photograph from that position? Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from the B block.
It must make a vital difference, but what? What would it change? The angle of view to the crime. Well, and distance. Why, the angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? The security guard station is on the second floor. And, she would have sort of a more 3D view of the crime. And this is important. Why? Okay. Alright. So it's not the angle. It would be the distance, I guess. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Skye? Well, witness?
You.
Yes?
You ordered the squid wheels, right?
The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible.
I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend.
Boysenberry for the boyfriend.
He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass-walled station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it.
So she had to run all the way around that way? There's no way. No, Lana would have been gone way.
That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in B block.
That's quite a detour.
Probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime.
But 5 minutes? This changes things considerably.
But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork.
You have a point. And the spork is a wonderful invention. Spork's pretty great.
Would you like another caviar lunch?
Absolutely. Uh-oh.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something.
Do I have any evidence to stop this? Raise an objection. 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You could make pasta in that amount of time if you like it al dente.
I've got lunch boxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie.
A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Sky dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Yeah. Well then, seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright! That was too close. I didn't get a chance to be like, why did you take a picture while you were, why did you stop and take a picture when you were trying to apprehend the suspect? I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Hold it!
Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right?
That's the one she tried to foist off on me. I prefer to not take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say?
I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence.
What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr.
Is this your jumbo lunchbox?
Woohoo! A triple-decker! Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence.
Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed.
Oh, sure, give me one more chance to cut her testimony out from underneath her. What's she gonna pull out of her lunchbox this time? Lunch-based corruption. I mean, this is just making me really hungry. This is just making me really hungry. All this lunchbox talk is really making me hungry.
I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence.
What? There was blood found on that shoe?
Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs.
Well, yeah, no. First of all, how does that prove it? And secondly, why are we hearing about this from the witness and not, there's no evidence in the court record? Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence?
Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself.
And you had blood tests performed.
Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics.
In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence.
What?
You must know that the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being.
Is that right, Mr. Wright?
Seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective, as I mentioned previously. This shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth.
Nah, Is that right, Mr. Wright? No, it's not. It seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen.
You could at least study some evidence law, really.
The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness.
Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged.
Victim's shoe added to the court record. But the problem with this is chain of custody. The problem with this is chain of custody. Like, there are many, I don't know how theirs works, but like the thing that Phoenix does where we just find evidence and then submit it, that's also a violation of the chain of custody, so, like, also not good. Depending if, because we get it from the crime scene. Alright. White enamel shoe. Bears traces of blood from Goodman and Lana Skye. Is that her shoe? Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. How did you get her shoe? How did you get her shoe? I should have mentioned those 5 minutes. It's not the victim's shoe. Oh, I did say it was the victim's shoe. Why did she take the shoe off the dead guy? Why did you lie about those 5 minutes?
I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results.
Yeah, how did no one notice that he was missing a shoe? The results.
How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very eyes. Compared to that, a 5-minute blank means nothing.
Then why didn't you just tell the truth?
Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This, when the suspect is admitting she did it? But false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up?
And you found this shoe at the scene of the crime.
I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive.
So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe.
I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. The shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen.
I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag? Really? In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next.
2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's.
So you brought it to the forensics department?
If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert.
And she got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it.
Well, the man was stabbed after all.
And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman.
As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe.
And the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. You can't say for sure the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test.
You claim to know something about blood tests, rookie?
Blood type. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's very generalized. Huh.
Well, speak up.
Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright.
Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all of the blood tests out there, which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person. Or so I hear.
That's pretty specific. No, yeah. No, like she should not be talking still. She should have been arrested for perjury.
If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But they said there's very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lana Skye's.
So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe. That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman, except we don't know it's hers. I was afraid he was going to say that.
This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence.
I can't let this evidence go through without a fight.
You ordered the prepared fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some like your client. She's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup.
Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? No, I have a huge problem with this shoe. A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? There's a problem. I'm not imagining things. I'd say there is one critical problem with this evidence. A clear contradiction.
That gleam in your eyes. You're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now. But you couldn't handle the heat, could you?
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? Show us the problem with the evidence. Rotate, rotate. There's blood on the bottom of his shoes. I wonder if you noticed. There's blood on the bottom of this shoe.
Don't mess with me, rookie. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe.
Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. Makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about blood on the bottom of his shoe? He was only stabbed once. Is he standing in his own... How is he standing in his own blood? I guess this? Or not. I'm guessing your shoe has blood on it too. You just shot yourself in the foot. Ugh. Would you like a grinder or grind from the heel of my boot? Ugh. How much food do you have? Tough crowd.
Mr. Wright, let's be scientific about this. Examine the evidence.
As I thought, a waste of time. Alright, so we gotta go back. We gotta do it again. Because that wasn't the answer. She died over a period of time and she saw the stabbing and stole his shoe. Why didn't she save him? I mean, yeah. He bled out. He only got stabbed once. And again, unless she stabbed him in the heart and cut through his heart muscle. Okay, we're gonna press. It was here. And then this thing. And then, do you have a problem with the shoe? There's a problem. Alright, let's hear what he has to say. What is contradictory about the shoe? Show us the problem with this evidence. There's blood on the bottom of the shoe. Alright, so it's not the autopsy report. There's no blood on the ground? I don't think it's that. It might be. I'm running out of things. I thought I was close to the end. Yeah, because if you look at where she's standing, there's no blood on the ground. But, I mean, it wasn't... Like, that's not... It wasn't her shoe. This is Goodman's shoe. He was wearing very fancy shoes. I think it is this. I mean, this feels weird, but... There we go. The problem lies in the footprint.
The footprint?
Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't there any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Ah! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order, order, order! Well, witness,
What? Huh? Great going, Mr. Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint.
Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint.
Think, Mr. Wright, think.
Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions.
What?
I see. Now I get it.
Get what?
Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect.
The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman.
I thought that was a strange thing for a normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty?
Oh, that? I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory.
Witness! Well, was the oil drum empty?
The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water.
What, water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright. Do you want to know the reason she kicked it over? The real reason? Aha! You don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. What? Can we talk about how the drums are on the other... That's on the wrong side? The drums are on the wrong side. That ties things up quite nicely. It doesn't. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoes tie her quite clearly to this murder. And then after the deed was done, she knocked over the drum to erase the telltale signs.
That's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence.
That reminds me, Miss Skye's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she cut herself when she stabbed him?
So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe?
Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial.
Mr. Wright, do something, please.
Well, what? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime, and she tried to conceal it.
But...
Enough. There is no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well.
But Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water.
This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, guilty. Hold it!
Little girl, what did you just say?
Huh? Me?
Did you say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side?
Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints.
Well, I thought you'd had your fill, but here you are demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. A lunchbox called evidence.
Wait, don't tell me you have something else. The time for deliberations is past. Any further comments and you will be held in contempt of court.
Your threats don't scare the cough-up queen. Look at this.
It's another photograph? Oh my god. A photograph.
I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim.
I see no room for error in this evidence.
Mr. Wright, wait! Look at the asphalt in this photo!
Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all.
It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. But there are still problems! There are still problems! Game! And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. ... I'm sorry, Mia. ... Yeah, right? ... Right. Wet or not. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Mia's talking to me through the vastness of space. Get yourself up off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good. Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait? No, it can't. Then it will be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah. I'll think later. Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem in this photograph. All right. Oh, yeah, what is this, actually? Is that liquid? Or is that... what is that? Something. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor, you just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also a part of a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe. I see, and I see. What's that suspicious-looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler?
So what if there's something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony.
What?
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth is the muffler is related to this case. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court.
Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler? Ugh!
Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence.
Oh.
Dun dun dun. Roasted. Well, it seems we will have to suspend the proceedings.
Suspend?
I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed. ... I suppose so. Whew. That was close. I mean, so there's no good reason, but especially if he was, it said it killed him in the trunk. So here's my current theory. It wasn't the lunch lady, even though she's sus. I don't think. I don't know. I think that somebody put Goodman in Edgeworth's trunk at the police station. Because putting somebody in a trunk and blocking off the muffler... Yeah. So... But we made it. At least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime, after all. He's still hungry? To be continued. It's time to save. We'll take a break ourselves here in just a second. February 23rd, 11:56 a.m. District Court, defendant lobby number 2.
Mr. Wright?
Huh? What?
Are trials always like this with you? Like you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake about to reach the surface? But no matter how hard you battle, you never seem to get there.
Maybe cause exhaust to back into the car to knock the detective out so that Edgeworth didn't notice being there while he bled out. Yeah, but I also feel like, depending on how far he had to drive, like, Edgeworth would probably smell exhaust in the car. Like, the car would sound funny. But I don't know. I don't know that much about that kind of thing. But if the exhaust was going in the trunk long enough, that wouldn't knock the detective out. It would kill him. And according to the autopsy, he got stabbed. It says he died due to loss of blood. And he died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. So he totally, like, we haven't heard, where is all the rest of the blood, right? Because if you looked at that picture and he was wearing white, he didn't really bleed that much in that picture. So, like, is the blood soaked into the carpet in Edgeworth's trunk? And how long was he bleeding while he was in there? Because the knife was in Edgeworth's trunk. Anybody could have stabbed him at the police department, put him in that trunk. Pretty much. Except today we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister anyway?
Apparently she got called off to the judge's chambers.
Probably something to do with that piece of cloth.
So, this is where we turn this trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth.
I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell the truth. Hola, partner! They say you show a red cloth to a bull, it'll fire up its temper. That's what they told me when I was a youngin', at least. Officer Marshall! Though I thought I'd come and take a look, see how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. They've got the home ranch locked down tighter than a fort in enemy territory. That hard to slip out, huh? What's going on over there, anyway? All the police I've seen these last 2 days have been really on edge. Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example.
Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf.
You don't say. Now don't that just beat all? I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck many a time. I saw it that day, too. She was wearing a red muffler. What? At the ward ceremony that afternoon. Edgeworth seen it too, I reckon. What does that mean? In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf. Maybe that's the piece of cloth that's in the tailpipe.
So Miss Starr wasn't mistaken.
Well, it's about time. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns, and sometimes you just gotta let that bull go where it will. Time will tell. Ugh, I have a bad feeling about this.
So, what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright?
If it's steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Ooh-wee. Yikes. February 23rd, 2:32 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Alright. This is a good place. Take a break. We take a 5-minute break. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we will keep going. So... grab some water, stretch your legs. We'll be back in 5.